Hello, in this video I'm going to cover the basics of pixel art. Now, in pixel art terms, we're looking at the pixel size and deciding how big do we want our pixels in the end. So if this is your size pixel here, but you zoom out with Control 1, you see it's going to be tiny. So we're going to decide document size quite early, and as long as you're using the pencil here, you can get right down to the pixel level. And make sure you don't have the opacity using that, because it will build up to the point where you get all these different colors of pixels and it's hard to replicate them. You kind of want to keep your palette simple and use that palette each time. Now I still think the document size is too big, so I want nice chunky pixels. Okay, that looks about right. So I'm going to switch that off and I'm going to start making a little palette. I'm going to make a new layer here and just increase the brush size a bit, and I'll just start dotting out some colors. So grayscale, a few of those. In fact, I know what I'm going to make. I'm going to make a little vase, so I'm going to make it some greens, this, and maybe a couple of red tones. So you want a really basic palette for what you need. Right, so I'm going to make a little vase. So imagine this is going to be a little prop for a game. Now, sprites or pixel art tend to be a set size, like 24 pixels by 24 or 16 by 16. So I like to do this little measuring stick like this, and I'm just going to select. Just duplicate these up, and I can measure that out. That is 14, 15, so there's 16 pixels, right? So let's just get rid of that. There's 16 pixels by 16 pixels. Okay, just get rid of that one. So that is your typical tile size for making some kind of tile or a sprite or something. So let's go ahead and make a little vase using this setup. Let's start on a new layer. I'm just going to fill that in, and let's just get rid of this. In fact, let's just make it really opaque so it's still a little guide. Right. See, I've made it symmetrical, that's fine, and I want to make it more kind of cream tone, so I'm going to add some light to this side of it, just to the bottom left a little, and then I'm going to add some light to this side as well. You see I'm just leaving this edge pixel here. Now I just want this color to be a kind of go-between. I might not like that color, it's not really doing a good value change. I'm going to just check that with a saturation layer and desaturate, and you can see the value of this grey isn't much darker than the one before, so I'm going to undo that. I'm going to change this color so that it is a little darker, maybe a little bit more towards green as well. So it's kind of got the job in between these two, and I'll just fill them back in again. Okay, that's a bit better, and it also works as a little highlight for this edge. Okay, so let's add a little stripe going across. and this time I'll use that tone. And that's you use a palette of 6 colours for this little sprite, and that's quite typical for pixel art to be quite like that. And if I do Control 1, it's going to look like that, and Control 0, it's going to look like this. So ideally when you've finished your pixel art, you want to make it kind of bigger just to present it to people. So you're going to say image size, percent, 300%, nearest neighbour is important. And that way, when I do Control 1, you get this kind of nice pixel art look to it. Okay, the pixels are actually a third that size now. If I was to draw, I could get 3 to 1, but it's only because I made the image bigger, and that's only to present it to people, because most of the time your image will be shown at this size and it's really hard to see the cool pixels. So 16 by 16 is quite typical. Also 32 by 32 is really typical. So I'm going to make one that size just so you can see the difference. Let's go a few more colors this time as well. So I'm going to make a new palette. Let's get a nice kind of stony grey color palette here. Okay, so do that. It's going to do like this. Let's say we're allowed 8 colors for this one, and that's another typical sprite limitation, 8 colors. Let's do a blue band, so we'll go for a dark blue. Let's do 2 colors for that, and we'll do a red band. Okay, that's going to be our palette. Let's go back down to the actual pixel size, and yep, we're good to go. So I'm going to start with this one. I know this is the middle, so I'm just going to go one away from the bottom just to give for a little room for any shadow that I might add, and don't want to go all the way to the top. Okay, let's now make the vase have a little bit of a tilt to it so we can see inside the top, and then maybe it goes around like that. Make it go out a bit, and then we need to decide when it's going back in the way. So usually there's these steps of 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, then something like that, 2, and then instead of actually drawing this, you could just basically copy this and then flip it horizontally, and then you can fill in the entire bottle. I'm going to turn the grid off here because I can see it. So that's this one. Okay. And then I'll just get that little rim back. Like that. I'm going to go a little bit more just to emphasize the shape, the roundness of this, and then round to the bottom here. I'm just going to leave the bottom black. Fill that in. A little bit of light on the side always helps. And you could always actually, instead of making that black, just give it a little bit of a lighter outline. Okay. And then decide where the light hits this. Might also go on the inside here. You can play around with that until it looks kind of nice. And I'm just going to make this bit a little bit bigger so we can see kind of reduced version of it. Now if you change this to a fixed 100%, so 1800, yeah, that will give us a nice pixel definition there, but here it's harder to tell. We just have to eyeball it till it looks like something that represents this. Okay. You can also tear off a copy actually if you do arrange and new window. That will give you this extra window here, and if you change the resolution of this to like 400, and then spacebar, you can actually get a little representation of that. I'm going to go 300 because that's going to be the size. We'll scale up while we're presenting stuff. So we've got 2 vases there. I'm going to make that a little bit more like this. And so another thing you can do to get more value is to checker the pixels. It's a very old school trick when they had a color limitation that they would do this, and it does help sell it as kind of genuine pixel art. Okay. Case of trying some things to see what looks good as well. Normally at the rim there's a little bit of a shine and a bit more of a shadow here will help. A little core shadow. Okay, let's put the colours in now. So do a little blue stripe just in the dark areas. And where it's here I'm going to make it the light colour. And then I guess I could checker all the way through that. Let's go a bit further actually, let's go to there. And instead of it being this colour, I'll tone that down a bit to match the value of the blue a little bit more. And the red stripe here as well. And that's pretty much it. Now, if you did have more colours, maybe white, you can make it look even shinier. Add a little highlight here, here, and that really helps it. You want to help that a little bit with some of this lighter tone. And as you zoom out, it starts to look quite nice. So that's basically it. If you also want to add a shadow, just make sure you do a little checker effect. That's very typical of an old school pixel art shadow, just to checker it. That way if there's a colour underneath, then you're going to see that coming through. And that's pretty much the basis of pixel art. So I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial and I'd love to see your work. Thanks for watching. Bye.